This is 9,000 dirhams, and this is what I was initially offered per month to come and teach in Dubai with 2 years experience. This video is going to answer a range of different questions associated with pay and packages. Before we jump into the video, let me show you something. This guide is called How to Get a Teaching Job in Dubai and the UAE, and is found on my website, teachtraveltriumph.com. As the name suggests, the guide will support you with getting a job out here in Dubai. It talks through all the different things that you can expect and the processes that are involved in getting a job with lots of different templates and tips. This guide is going to support you with the process of moving to the UAE and will help you with everything that you need to know both before and after moving. Like I said at the start, this guide can be found on my website, teachtraveltriumph.com. Let's jump straight into the juicy information that you guys have come here for. Let's be honest, you really want to know how much teachers in Dubai get paid, and it's hard to answer. There is a pay scale. Typically ECTs, which is early career teachers, and yes, they can come and teach out here, as mentioned in this guide, will be paid the least. They will typically find job offers around 8,000 dirham up to sort of 10,000 dirham, but again, that completely depends on the school, whether it's a for-profit school, a non-for-profit school. That's generally how much ECT, early career teachers, will be offered per month. Pay is often offered as a per month thing, and then you will obviously work out how much that is per annum. From there then, I had 2 years of experience when I came out here to Dubai, and my offer was 9,000. However, I did find another job offer that paid a little bit higher, and as a result, chose that one. So different schools will have different pay increments, different pay scales, and that's important to know. From that 8,000, which is what ECTs might get offered, you can go all the way up to sort of 15,000 based on those levels of experience. And it completely depends, again, on the school. Do teachers get additional pay alongside that monthly income? Yes. This is why working out how much teachers in Dubai get paid is so challenging, because you need to try and work out the overall package. And different schools have pros and cons when it comes to the packages that they offer. Some will offer a higher initial salary income that I've just mentioned, but then others might offer a higher accommodation allowance. Some schools might not offer accommodation allowance for the first 2 years, and that's worth noting, because some people will use their accommodation allowance and only spend a certain amount on their accommodation and save the rest. So then from there, you might have flight allowance, you'll then have medical insurance, and medical insurance can vary, and that's really important to think about. And you'll also have gratuity. And it's all about making sure that you think about the overall package that you are going to receive from that school. When we're thinking of accommodation allowance, schools can vary massively. So some schools will offer 45,000 for the year, and then other schools will offer 75,000 for the year. And that can take you a range of different ways in terms of being able to pay for accommodation. Some people will then buddy up and choose to go for a 2-bedroom apartment to rent, and then be able to save a little bit more money and spend that however they choose. But that's the range of ways that packages are built up, and those are the different packages that you can consider when you come out here to teach in Dubai. From there, you have for-profit and non-for-profit schools. And I've spoken about that in other videos, and I've also spoken about it in this guide too. A for-profit school is any of the income that they get from the school fees goes back to the shareholders. A non-for-profit gets spread through the school, and as a result, non-for-profit teachers can expect to be paid more. Pay for non-for-profit schools, as I've recently discovered, can be anywhere from 15,000 to 20,000 per month, and the accommodation allowance can be upwards from 75,000 all the way up to 100,000, if not more. So it's important to understand that. However, teaching jobs for non-for-profit schools are extremely competitive as a result of the higher pays that they offer. Do you get more money for being a married couple? Not in teacher pay, but you do get more for your accommodation allowance as a married couple. Do all nationalities who come and teach out here in Dubai get paid the same? No, is the short answer to that. Not all nationalities get paid equally, and what can happen is that there is a disparity between the types of schools that people work at and the pay that they receive. As an example, people who come from their home nation to Dubai generally get paid more than their home nation, hence why they choose to come out here. I know that that's the case for British teachers, and I also know that's the case for Indian teachers, having spoken to them. However, the pay for British teachers versus Indian teachers in different schools varies dramatically and isn't always equal. And that's noteworthy. Where can I earn the most money as a teacher here in Dubai? As I've spoken about before, non-for-profit schools are going to pay you the most money in terms of being a teacher out here in Dubai. However, there is that competitive element, as I've spoken about before, but there are other ways of increasing your income out here in Dubai. You can take on additional leadership, and we'll speak about the income that you can expect to receive from that. And some people will choose to do things such as tutor or other things that can bring in additional sources of income. But you do have to check with contractual obligations, just about said that your school are okay with those things too. So what is the pay for teaching and leadership responsibilities? This, again, is challenging to work out because it can vary between different schools. Some schools will offer 500 dirham per month as an additional income for leadership responsibilities, and that can go all the way up to sort of 3,000. Generally, what does happen is that you will receive, let's say, 500 dirhams for a leadership responsibility, and then you can receive an additional amount if it's like a more complex role within the school, such as year leader or head of a core subject. And then you get additional points based on the complexities or the amount of challenge that there is within that role. So schools vary in terms of what they pay there, but that's what you can expect to consider in terms of additional income there. Does pay for teachers increase each year? No, but generally yes. There are years where, due to things that have happened in the world, schools have decreased pay or at least stalled them. And as a result of that, yeah, the pay hasn't increased the next year. But generally speaking, yes, pay does go up in line with the experience that teachers gain throughout their teaching career. However, it's also important to note that the pay scale doesn't necessarily update in line with inflation. Whereas the UK will be updated quite regularly, that hasn't necessarily happened here in the UAE, and is something to note. Are there pensions out here in the UAE? No, there aren't pensions per se. Some people invest into a private pension and others choose to invest wisely. They might invest in things such as bricks and mortar, they might invest in index funds, stocks and shares, or commodities. Those sorts of things are things that people might invest into. This is not the video for investment advice or anything along those lines. However, that's how people will build an income and build a more sustainable portfolio that they can then rely on as a retirement. But in terms of a retirement similar to what they would have in the UK, no, that doesn't exist. What you will have is a gratuity. For example, each year that you work there, you will get a certain amount of pay that is built up as an end of service bonus. They call it a gratuity. From there, when you then finish, let's say after 4 years, that bonus will have built up to a level that you then get paid that along with your final paycheck too. And some people choose to put that into a private pension, invest it, all of those different things, but gratuity is built up out here in the UAE. How much percentage do you save per month? This is a hard question for me to answer, and I think during my time out here teaching in Dubai, that amount has varied massively. When it was COVID and we were all locked down, I was able to save quite a big portion because we weren't really doing anything. We would pay for our groceries and that was about it. However, in my first year, and now as travel starts to open this year, the amount of money that I'm able to save is less due to the amount that I am traveling. It's also really noteworthy that inflation has hit hard, and because the pay scales don't always increase in line with inflation, the amount of money that I'm actually saving is less too, due to things like groceries, cost of living, all those things compound and mean that the amount that I'm actually able to save is less. So that's really noteworthy too. But yeah, it's a personal one. Personally, I'd say I'm able to 30% maybe. But it's challenging. In the past, I've been able to save 50% per month. And then in the past, I've only been able to save 10% per month, depending on my lifestyle habits. And I'm sure that will be similar for different teachers. Obviously, you'll get those teachers who go out every weekend, party, live the Dubai life, and go, oh, I've not saved anything. Or worse, get into debt. But you'll also have those teachers who don't do as much, go and chill by the pool, have quite a reserved lifestyle, and then are able to save up quite a lot. But then there's that balance of lifestyle versus saving, which again, completely different video. Can you negotiate pay when you're coming out here to Dubai? Yes and no. You can always ask for an increase in income, and there's a range of different strategies to support this. However, as teacher pay scales in different schools become more rigid, it's harder for them to have that flexibility. And I think that's a sign of fair pay throughout the school, which is a positive thing. Now, for me personally, in the past, I was able to use my other offer, that second offer, as leverage to try and support getting a better offer from that 9,000 dirham that I spoke about initially. But what happened is I didn't really get an increase in basic pay. What I was offered is an increase or an amount of accommodation allowance. So they would let me have that accommodation allowance, which again, I could save those sorts of things, but I chose not to go for that because there was that complexity of getting the accommodation and lots of other things there too. So that's one way of negotiating pay. Hopefully you enjoyed the video talking about how much teachers in Dubai get paid. As I mentioned at the start of the video, it's a complex issue and has to consider a range of different things. Like I said, this guide about how to get your first teaching job is available on my website, teachtraveltriumph.com, and there's a range of different free information, videos and blogs that you can access on there too. Make sure you sign up to the mailing list because I send out freebies regularly. Go and check that out. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to like it. And if you haven't subscribed and checked out other videos about teaching in Dubai, make sure you go and do that too. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Until then, I'm out.